Good morning and thank you for joining us today. I'm Jeff Gephardt, the Public Information Officer for Santa Fe Public Schools. Today we're going to hear about our comprehensive district plan to ensure our students feel safe and welcome at our schools. Our first speaker today is our Board of Education President, Susan Duncan.
So, unfortunately, this past election has brought out a lot of ugly things in our country, which is really sad to see. And in some ways, it feels like we've gone back to the 50s. I'm sure you've read the articles and heard the news stories about young people across the country being attacked simply because of who they are, being harassed. And we're talking about all kinds of young people who, just because they don't happen to be white men, are being attacked for who they are. Signs of, whites only put on school bathroom doors, Muslim girls having their head covering torn off, all girls having boys come up and grope them, attacks on African American, Jewish, Muslim, immigrant, Latino youth by other youth, telling people go back to Africa. It's really sad to see what has been unleashed in our country, and I think it's very confusing for our youth, who maybe some have already experienced this, but I think a lot haven't, and to see all these kind of hatred and bigotry unleashed. And we're seeing it in New Mexico as well. You may have seen some of the articles about UNM and other schools. So we felt as Santa Fe Public Schools that we really needed to make a strong statement here that in Santa Fe Public Schools we serve and support all of our students, regardless of their race, their ethnicity, their religion, their gender identity, or their immigration status. And we will not tolerate bigotry, harassment, bullying of any kind in our school district. And I think we've had this position, a strong position like this for years, but this is a moment where we really have to re-emphasize our values and our commitment to protecting all of our students, making sure that all of our students feel safe and wanted and cared for in our schools. Last night I made a statement in particular about immigrant youth because they are particularly vulnerable in this moment. Particularly the youth who have applied for deferred action, because now those youth have been exposed and are easy targets for deportation. And we have, I believe, about 500 of our students that we have helped through the DACA process. And but all students, this is all students who are now suffering from discrimination of different types. So we felt this is the time to make a strong statement, and not just make a statement, but come up with an action plan of how we will deal with these problems if they appear in Santa Fe Public Schools, and how we will help all of our students and their families in whatever they need and offer them the support they need. So I would like to introduce our superintendent, Dr. Veronica Garcia, who will actually lay out the plan of action for Santa Fe Public Schools. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Board President Duncan. As our Board President has just stated, we are in tumultuous times. I've written a letter to our Santa Fe Public Schools community that includes those within the school district and those outside of the district. And if you will allow me, I will read the letter to you now, and it also spells out our plan. Dear Santa Fe Public Schools community, for many, the 2016 election has been an extraordinarily emotional experience. People across our country and the world are excited about the presidential outcome, while others are feeling anxiety and fear. Here in the Santa Fe Public Schools, this election has not changed our beliefs, our values, or expectations. Our district stands together with our families. We believe in creating school communities that demonstrate unconditional regard and respect for everyone. We are called upon to be compassionate and respectful of others and to reflect on our own feelings. to provide support to those who are experiencing high levels of stress and trauma, to create school communities that are welcoming, predictable, and safe. We know that in order for our students to achieve their potential, schools must continue to keep the focus on teaching and learning while ensuring that our students feel safe, secure, and welcome. Everyone within the school community plays an essential role in modeling responsible behavior, including students, teachers, other district personnel, parents, volunteers, and visitors. It is not enough just to uphold the code of conduct as policy. Rather, it is everyone's responsibility to create opportunities for students to develop positive self-awareness and skills necessary to demonstrate responsible behavior. It is our duty to teach children and youth how to settle arguments without resorting to name-calling and violence, as well as encourage them to use peaceful means when resolving issues. As a district, we believe there is no place for hate, and we will firmly discipline those who seek to intimidate, bully, harass, or create a school environment which might cause any student, employee, or group to feel intimidated or ill-treated. Our school community is as strong as its relationships. We are encouraged by the outpouring of support from our community partners. We stand together to affirm that everyone matters. There are many school-based community resources available to support our students and their families. Some ideas are highlighted in the resource document that we will provide students and families. Specifically, I'd like to draw your attention to some immediate actions we've taken to further ensure that all of our students have a positive school experience. We have established a student support helpline. The numbers are here. Students or parents may call 505-470-8806 to report incidences of bullying, harassment, or events they believe may cause a disruption to the learning process. Our staff is ready to triage those calls. Obviously, if there is something that a family has an emergency, students have an emergency, this is not to take the place of 911. We cannot give legal advice, but we can provide resources where they can get this sort of information. If we feel that someone needs behavioral health support, we can provide that support. If there's an incident that, oftentimes families hear about things before we hear about it at school. Perhaps it comes from social media. If they hear that there might be something that might disrupt the learning process, we encourage them to call this number. And that might be referred to our security, Gabe Romero, or student wellness, or Miguel Acosta. Various members of our staff are there to provide support and scaffolding to our schools and to our children. We will broadly communicate that regardless of immigration status, students who graduate from an accredited New Mexico high school or earn a GED are eligible for in-state tuition and the New Mexico Lottery Scholarship. This is vitally important because regardless of what happens at the federal level regarding DACA, our state has taken it very seriously that everyone who lives in our state of New Mexico is eligible to continue their education. So we don't want to see our students dropping out because of what may be happening at the federal level. We want to remind our families that we do not and will not collect information regarding student immigration status, nor will we allow unlawful access to our students in our schools. Santa Fe Public Schools has collaborated with community partners, many of them are here today, to create a safe space for immigrant children and families and advocates to meet once a week in the evening for support and information dissemination. We have established a Superintendent's Equity Advisory Council. The council will have representatives from various stakeholder groups. The council will have ad hoc committees who will take on particular areas of focus that pertain to our students and families, such as immigrants, LGBT issues, Native American issues, special education, and so on. We will continue to provide focused professional development for our teachers and staff on dealing with emotional trauma and how to have respectful conversations about highly emotionally charged issues in a manner that is safe for all students. Teachers and school counselors teach from a universal curriculum to build skills around empathy, anger management, impulse control, problem solving, and social skills. Children learn the importance of creating a caring community. They also learn about bullying and how to stand up for themselves and others. Principals will be encouraged to devise ways for students to report issues of bullying and harassment in a manner that protects the personal safety of the informant. For example, one school principal has set up a special email that was confidential for that purpose. And others might use text messaging. But this morning on a conference call with our principals, we said it's up to them how they want to do that, but we want to ensure that children can report, because what we've heard from our community partners is that sometimes the children are afraid to report it at school. We will explore the reallocation of resources to provide an immigrant student support ombudsman for the district. And the Associate Superintendent for School Support, Equity, and Community Engagement, Dr. James Lujan, and his team will work with his staff in schools to provide the resources and supports that schools need. In closing, it is my belief that the institution of public education is the bedrock of our democracy. This is the time for healing and coming together to find common ground. I have every confidence that our school district and our community will demonstrate to our nation that our diversity is our strength. And it is our diversity that makes the United States of America one of the greatest nations in the world. I'm confident that our Santa Fe community will continue to celebrate its diversity and support all of its children and families. Thank you. I'd like to now call Dr. James Lujan, Associate Superintendent.
Good morning, buenos dias. Thank you all for being here and for demonstrating your love, your passion towards education and to all of our students. As Dr. Garcia emphasized, the unity in numbers, the unity in our relationships between school and community, school and home, is what makes us a proud district to represent this beautiful country that we live in, by ensuring that every student feels safe, welcome, and supported. My job, as Dr. Garcia stated, I'm the Associate Superintendent for School Support for Equity and Community Engagement. I am very privileged to have a strong, solid team of folks with expertise around the same mission that our district demonstrates. I have Mr. Miguel Acosta, who is in the back. He works strongly and is a huge advocate for every student. We have Ms. Leo O'Shell, who is also here. She is a huge proponent for connections between school and community, and also embracing other community members, even if they don't have children who attend our schools. Our mission is to continue to work with our principals. We want to make sure that they're trained, that they welcome every student themselves. We want to continue to work with our staff, our teachers, our support staff. That means our counselors, our social workers, our nurses, our program support specialists. We even have our custodians and our cafeteria folks on the list so that we can provide training for them so that they know the resources so that they too could offer. Even our bus drivers. We want to extend to all of these certified and classified staff so that they know that they could support students as well. We want to ensure that we all know about the resources, the supports. We want to offer trainings that will lead towards a strong, positive school community culture. And by doing that, we want to work closely with our health and wellness committee, not just within our districts, but every school has an attendance support team, has a health and wellness committee. We want to make sure that we embrace this and work together as one team, as was stated. Once again, we are here. We have a helpline for students and also for parents and their constituents. The number, once again, 470-8806. Tenemos aquí un apoyo estudiantil, una línea de asistencia para nuestros alumnos del distrito, para que ellos también o las familias puedan llamar si se sienten intimidados, se sienten con temor o gustan reportar algo que no sea de emergencia pero que les concierne. Así es de que esta línea no toma lugar del 911. This line once again does not replace the 911 emergencies that people might have. Thank you once again for demonstrating by being here present. Thank you to the media as well for being here. This is an important, ongoing topic, issue, initiative that belongs to all of us. And together, embracing this, we will get through this as well. Every one of our kids is special in our heart. At this time, I would like to introduce to you someone that is another huge advocate for this work, is our Director of Student Wellness, Ms. Sue O'Brien.
Thank you, James. Good morning. My name is Sue O'Brien, and I'm the new Director of Student Wellness here in the Santa Fe Public Schools. Our department is home to vital programs and services. Staffed with the most compassionate people, dedicated people, our department provides direct and indirect support for school counselors, prevention programs, nursing and health services, our homeless youth and their families, pregnant and parenting teens, and school-based behavioral health services. The days after a historic election are like every day for us, in that we believe our daily work will result in all students and parents knowing that they are honored, valued, respected, and welcomed in our schools. Our most vulnerable students, those who live with housing instability, our teen parents, and those dealing with significant behavioral health challenges, that they get the support they need. Resilient youth and families don't rely on alcohol and tobacco or other drugs, who have the knowledge and skills to set goals and make wise decisions. Our work evolves around healthy students whose medical and emotional needs are addressed so that they can learn and thrive. We've established true partnerships with our community so that we are working together to create a strong, healthy Santa Fe for our children and our families. Our efforts will continue to concentrate on developing the mindfulness around social emotional health and development, reducing risky behaviors while teaching our students the academic, career, and personal social skills necessary for them to graduate from our high schools, college, or career ready. Across our district, our teachers, counselors, and principals are listening to family stories. We're teaching students how to show compassion and understanding to others. We're teaching them new ways to solve problems, apologize, and make new friends. Students are learning the importance of creating caring communities and standing up for themselves and others. In addition to utilizing our foundational curriculum and prevention curriculum, our school counselors are building on their professional development in resiliency, self-care, transgender policy and procedures, threat assessments, and youth mental health first aid. Our principals are embracing trauma-informed schools. The recent election was not a catalyst for our work, but rather a strong reminder of our responsibility to be calm in the middle of a storm. I'm reminded of the gentleman who stands at the corner by St. Anne's Church. Every day he reaches out with a wave and a smile to those who are familiar to him or a complete stranger as they pass him by on their way to somewhere. I'm reminded of the many families who lined up at Adelante last week, knowing that they would find support, knowledge, and resources to help them through a difficult time, and watching them leave our building with food or a warm jacket and a smile. It reminds me of the important work and how important it is to reach out. I want everyone to know that our department, which is the Office of Student Wellness, is here for you. If we don't have the answers, our goal is to make sure that we can help you navigate and find the answers and the support you need. Thank you. At this time, I would like to invite Gabe Romero.
Thank you, Susan. Hello, my name is Gabe Romero. I'm the school security director for the district. I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the comprehensive approach that Dr. Garcia has talked to you about today. I think it's fantastic that we're getting to be proactive, out ahead of some of the anxiety issues. We have a large population of immigrant people within this town. We are considered a safe haven for those immigrant populations, and we want to make them feel welcome. Part of that, though, entails that they have a process for being able to report things that when they're being treated unfairly, when perhaps there's some danger at our schools. I want to know about it as quickly as possible so I can get all these fantastic resources that we have here to play to address those issues in a proactive manner. So once again, 470-8806 will be the new helpline number for anyone wanting to report any type of difficulties they're having at the schools. Once again, it's not a replacement for 911, but it is a process because in school sometimes it's uncomfortable to report that to a teacher while all your peers are there. Maybe as an employee, maybe it's just as uncomfortable to report those types of things while your other colleagues are there with you. So there has to be a process where we're able to get that information and act on it as quickly as possible. So thank you for your time. I look forward to working with everybody. Next, I'd like to introduce Gail Hurling and Israel from Adelante.
Good morning. My name is Gail Hurling. I am the coordinator of Santa Fe Public Schools Adelante program. And we're proud here to stand today with our superintendent, who is also standing by the immigrant families in our schools and others who are being marginalized as well. One way that we can all stand by is to follow this plan and continue. I see it as a living plan as it can grow to address the needs of our students who are most vulnerable since the national election, particularly immigrant students and our families, whom are the majority of the students and families that we work with at Adelante. Although Santa Fe Public Schools Adelante program is a school entity, we are also a community organization, and we are activists and allies with our friends and neighbors in the community for social justice movements as well. We're always learning from our students and families about what values we need to apply, what approach we need to apply to our program, and about strength and courage and perseverance that we see in our families constantly. We serve more than 1,700 children and youth ages birth through 21 who live in unstable, high-risk, and homeless situations. And we strive to empower the whole family so that our students can graduate high school, go to college, and come back to our community as professionals, and hopefully help break the cycle of poverty in their community as we all work together to break the cycle of poverty systemically as well. Our bilingual services include liaisons that visit Adelante students at all schools, case management for secondary students and parents or the adults that our children live with, weekly evening programs for our
With me this morning is Pilar Perez. She is one of our staff at Cesar Chavez Elementary School. Communities and Schools is a nonprofit 501c3 organization. We are deeply honored to work in partnership with the Santa Fe Public Schools and exceedingly honored to work with Superintendent Garcia and her exceptional staff and cabinet who are so deeply committed to the well-being of our children, our students, and our families. Communities and Schools' mission is to surround students with a community of support, empowering them to stay in school, achieve in school, and in their lives. Today we serve over 5,000 pre-K through high school 12th grade age students across the Santa Fe Public School District. The way we do our work is by placing full-time, what we call site coordinators, often social workers, in schools to work closely in partnership with principals, with school leadership teams, with wellness teams, with classroom teachers, to ensure that every child, and in tandem every family, has all of the support that they need so that children can come to school and do their job as students and engage and learn. A majority of the students with whom we work in the district are among the poorest and the most vulnerable in our community. Many of those children are immigrants, and they have been coming to our site coordinator staff over the last couple of weeks, since last week, but over the time in which we have served the district these last 4 years, to share their stories, and in the last week, certainly to share their anxiety and their fear about what is to come for themselves, their parents, and their families. Our site coordinators are available to support and provide information and resources to any student, any family that is in need. We stand by all of our families and all of our students, and we believe so strongly in this community and our capacity to ensure that our kids are safe from harm and know that they are valued and loved. Being safe is so important for children, and it just seems so utterly wrong that they should have to contend with this level of fear and confusion when they're already facing such tantamount challenges living in poverty. One of the things that we've done as communities and schools to address this moment in time in working with Allegra Love and the Santa Fe Dreamers Project is we are hosting immigration forums at several of our schools. This evening at 6 o'clock, we will be at Cesar Chavez Elementary School. Allegra will be there with her team. Hilda will be there to support her school's families and children. Tomorrow evening at 5:30, we'll have a similar activity forum at Ortiz Middle School. These are open to anyone in the community that is seeking information and support, and I encourage everyone here to please let your families know and your students know that Communities and Schools is available. Our staff and our organization stands by all of our families and students. Thank you very much.
Representing Somos Un Pueblo, Dr. Julia Rosa Emsley.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
I'm Julia Rosa Lopez Emsley, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors of Somos Un Pueblo Unido, which is an immigrant rights organization that's been in existence for 20 years. And they have done a lot of work for immigrants here in the city of Santa Fe and in the state of New Mexico. Last night we had a meeting which brought together many immigrant community members to talk about what would be the next steps that we could take to continue with our work and to continue to consider ourselves safe. And the topic that came up was that the city of Santa Fe was declared a sanctuary. And this sanctuary was declared in 1999 as a result of the work of Somos Un Pueblo Unido. It took them 3 years to get this passed through the city council, but it is still a sanctuary city, and it means that resources cannot be used to arrest or to follow immigrant people that are really not criminals. So the police, if the police stop people, they cannot ask you for your papers or they cannot ask you for your status. Also, they declared that ICE was not welcome in the city to come and arrest people unless they were criminals. So the conversation last night was, what are we going to do? And the decision that, or the ideas that were brought forward by the community members were that what we needed to do was to strengthen the policy that the city of Santa Fe and the county of Santa Fe are sanctuary places. And we were very pleased to speak with Dr. Garcia to continue to work with the public schools and be part of a safe community, so that when we talk about sanctuary places, safe places, we may also talk about the public schools. Somos Un Pueblo Unido has a wonderful website. They have all sorts of services offered for the immigrant community and the community as a whole. I would encourage you to look at the website, and a 1-800 number was mentioned yesterday that you can call and report any issues that come up with your community. So I would encourage you to go to that website and find out the kinds of services that they can offer. Así es que Somos Un Pueblo Unido es una organización que está lista para ayudar a los inmigrantes, y ayer nos reunimos y hablamos de cuáles serían los siguientes pasos a hacer, y los miembros decidieron que el primer paso era reforzar la política de que la ciudad de Santa Fe y el condado de Santa Fe son un santuario. Y les animo, les pido que por favor vayan al sitio web de Somos Un Pueblo Unido, y ahí van a encontrar mucha información. So we are really happy to collaborate and to work closely with the schools so that we can continue to have the city and the county of Santa Fe be a sanctuary for our people. Thank you.
Our last speaker will be Allegra Love, who works with Dreamers in Santa Fe Dreamers. I know.
We had wanted Hector Avellano from New Mexico Dreamers in Action to be here, but he had to fly off to an emergency organizing meeting in Washington, D.C. And then I invited a bunch of my Dreamer friends and clients to come and speak instead of me, but turns out they're all studying and working, which is the point. I run a legal services nonprofit called Santa Fe Dreamers Project, and I work closely with a student organizing group called New Mexico Dreamers in Action. And we've had a really rough week. But we want to make all the students in our school community know, and we want to make all the people who are allies in our community know that we are a little confused. There's a lot of questions, and we don't have a ton of answers for them yet. But we have very smart, very powerful organizers, lawyers, community advocates who are working to try and get answers and figure things out. Deferred action is still alive and well, and we are supporting students who are wanting to renew their applications very, very cautiously. And we're supporting students who want to find out if they qualify. And we're fighting to keep that program alive. It's going to be pretty devastating for the students in our school system if we lose deferred action, and we are going to fight to make sure that doesn't happen on January 20th. But in the meantime, we are here and available. My organization is here and available to be lawyers for the immigrants in our community and to make sure that they have the knowledge and understand their options and know that they're supported. And New Mexico Dreamers Action is here for students who need to understand the same things. Their school options, what's happening with the law, what's happening as we move forward to this uncertain future. Did you want to say something, Juan?
Yes.
Okay. Juan's a student organizer with United We Dream and New Mexico Dreamers Action too.
Thank you, Allegra. Good morning, everyone. My name is Juan Carlos de Oces. I'm a student success advisor for the district. I work for Eco High School. I want to speak briefly on the resiliency and the strength of our undocumented youth and families. To put a context, into what we're about to see, and we know for many of us who work specifically with immigrant youth and families, the removal, as we project, of a federal program, immigration program, deferred action for sheltered arrivals will impact about 800,000 young people in the U.S. That's about 15,000 young people in the state of New Mexico. What that means is that young undocumented youth will lose their right to work, will lose their social security numbers, will lose their right to be protected from deportation, and will not be able to travel freely within the U.S. For the past 4 years, we've been organizing, advocating at the local, state, and national level that really push for this policy to take place. But we know when there's fear, when there's uncertainty, there's also a great amount of strength. and that is the case in our immigrant youth and families. Please do know that our immigrant youth and families are not victims. Please do know that our immigrant youth and families are not voiceless. Please do know that young people will organize. Please do know that immigrant families will fight back. Please do know that we will do our best to create a safe, welcoming space for everyone, and that undocumented youth and families have said it for many, many years, working with Somos Un Pueblo Unido to pass state law SB 582 that provides full tuition equity. We're one of the 5 states in the whole nation that does that. Immigrant youth organize. And when we passed DACA, and when we pressured the Department of Homeland Security, we said it very clear and loud. We are undocumented, we're unafraid, and unapologetic. Undocumented youth and families are ready to organize. Thank you.
So thank you, and I appreciate all of you coming today. What I do want to say in closing, there's been a tremendous focus on immigrant families in this press conference because of the uncertainty for all the reasons that you've heard. But the Diversity Council will be looking at all of our various groups that have concerns. You know, just because we have a small population of Native American students or African American students doesn't mean that their issues and concerns should also be addressed and have voice, because all does mean all of our students and all of their concerns. We need to ensure that even if the numbers are small, that we're addressing the needs and the security and the education for all of our students. I want to thank all of our community members for being here today and our staff. It's a wonderful place to be superintendent of schools, to have such an amazing community to work with us and to help us, because as a school district, we can't do this work alone. We really do need to partner with our community to provide the very best education that we can for our students. And so, Jeff, thank you again.
At this time, we'll stand for questions. Yes, sir.
When did the helpline go into effect? What I'm calling the helpline, pardon me.
It's live now, and you can find information about the helpline at sfps.info. It's on our website.
So far in the wake of the election, has the district had any reported incidents, harassment, racism, etc., that you believe are tied to the election?
I'll let Dr. Garcia address that.
Thank you.
So we have had no formal complaints come to the district, but in talking to our community partners, they are aware of this happening in our community, which I think many of our students have been reluctant to report, and which is why we've set up the hotline, or the helpline rather, why we're encouraging principals to have ways for students to be able to report incidences in a way that will protect their identity and their safety. And perhaps someone from the community might want to respond to that, but we have not had any formal complaints that have made their way to the district. That doesn't mean it hasn't happened in the school.
May I ask a follow-up, Superintendent?
Of course.
Thank you, ma'am. You spoke about a conference call with principals this morning.
Yes.
So are you having or plan to have regular conversations with them about this very issue, and what sort of a back and forth are you having with them about this in terms of encouraging them to keep their eyes open and report back to you?
Right. The first, we just met. When did I meet with our community partners? Friday. And our board president, wanted to reaffirm all of the resolutions that the board had passed. And I wanted to make sure that we would have a comprehensive approach. As Israel said, I could have issued a statement, put a letter out. It's symbolic, it feels good, but what actions are we taking? So we moved very quickly from Friday, today is Wednesday, to have put all of this together. We rolled it out this morning. With the first step was the phone call. But as Sue O'Brien said, there are many things that are already in place. A lot of training around trauma had already happened with our counselors. We will be having a principals meeting. Actually, you guys are meeting with principals Thursday and Friday, correct, Dr. Bader? And so there will be meetings with principals where all of this information will be shared with them, the resources, and this will be an ongoing dialogue. as well as with the establishment of the advisory council.
I have more questions if nobody else does.
And also questions can be directed to for any of our community partners. I'll just stay here then, I guess.
Thank you, and I'm okay if any of them want to step up as well. How long does this sense of action plan or awareness need to stay in place in your view right now?
I think it will be ongoing. I believe that we have a void in terms of reporting data by looking at various subgroups of students in terms of are we meeting their educational needs? Are we seeing more suspensions for certain kids? What does graduation look like? What are other issues and concerns? So as we have these ad hoc committees, this will be an ongoing process. Plans like this need to evolve. Maybe we'll find that the helpline isn't as effective and we might want to try something different. So this should be an ongoing issue. I think it fits with the core values of this district, that we have unconditional regard and respect for all of our students. This is one way to put more meat on the bone, so to speak, but this should be inherent in everything that we do and is not just necessarily only in response to the election. I think this helps spearhead it because of what we see of the uncertainty with our immigrant population. But the issue around diversity is ongoing. As a matter of fact, when I created the reorganization, this was prior to us even knowing the results of the presidential election. I wanted to have equity be noted, have some prominence in the cabinet, which is why it was assigned to an associate superintendent.
Have you been in touch with the other superintendents in the state, even if you don't want to name names, who are going through problems and talking to you about it?
Unfortunately, I have not had the opportunity to chat with other superintendents about this particular issue, other than what I've read in the newspapers. Any press? Okay, we'll take questions from the audience in just a second. Any other press questions?
Maybe, but let me think about it.
Okay.
An issue that we're discussing at our school and among all the children in the community.
And which school are you at?
Is that hate speech isn't the same thing as free speech, and a lot of kids are unaware of that. Do we have a code of conduct or a mandate or a way to convey that to the students that is a separate thing and very different?
Hate speech is not free speech. Speech that is disruptive, speech that demeans any individual group will not be tolerated. That is part of, I believe, in our current code of conduct, also known in the district in terms of BEST, but this is also in the training and the curriculum materials, the guides that we're providing. So yes, we want to, and this is something that we're working with our principals, our counselors, working with our teachers, of how can we have civil discourse. We don't have to agree, this is a democracy, but hate speech will not be tolerated. Yes.
This is for the community partners. How are they going to address or re-engage youth that have already started to pull away from the school system?
How will community partners re-engage youth? I think that's a question for the community partners. Somebody like to take that, one of our partners from the community?
So what I mentioned before, Dr. Sanchez was like, whatever you guys want. So one of the things that caught us off guard was when we're like, we want this gym and this gym. And she's like, okay. And we're like, oh, what are we going to do with that? So far what we have is that we're opening up for every Friday, the 6 to 8 at Ortiz, to open it up to broader issues, not just the immigration issue, but to different people in our community that feel disenfranchised, that feel silenced, so that we can re-engage those. I'm an artist, I'm a poet, so yes, mental health services help, but sometimes poetry and art and music gets to the places where social services can't. So those type of creative ways to engage with our community that we have a superintendent that's really going like help us and be your best you. So that feels really encouraging as far as like what we're gonna be doing. What it looks like, we don't have any idea, but we're opening up to be safe space.
So we have the safe space, and I think also to re-engage our students, it's just caring and standing with them, knowing that the future is uncertain, but that there's people there with them at the whole way as far as we can. So just caring for them and bringing in the families and bringing in community organizations and letting them know that they're not by themselves.
We'd like to thank you for joining us today. This concludes the press conference. Our comprehensive district plan is posted on the district website at sfps.info. If you'd like more information about that. Also, if you have any further questions, my contact information is on the table in the back. And again, we would like to thank you for joining us today.